Hello, friends. Not long ago, specifically this year, I, in fact, started a new research on the potential possibilities of consciousness for precognition. I have produced a large number of numerous conversations with individuals who call themselves clairvoyants and psychics, who identify as clairvoyants and psychics. It would take a long time to recount all. Therefore, my report will be brief, but I want us to have an interactive session. That is, today I suggest that you also take part a little bit more and try to test yours in this specific activity. Your own abilities in foresight, possibly clairvoyance, and intuitive insights. And we will also watch a short video. So I am Marina Kelina. I work as a specialist with regression, hypnosis, and trance practices. I study what our consciousness is capable of. I write books on these topics, which are presented at our exhibition. Those interested can purchase them. And, as I indeed said, the upcoming year of 2024 is dedicated to the fascinating and intriguing study of the possibilities of consciousness for foresight. And before we move on to this directly, we probably just need to make clear some additional terms to avoid any possible or potential confusion. And so I want to first tell you what exactly I mean by consciousness and foresight in this specific and detailed context and elaborate further. So in the course of my research and practical work as a regression therapist with clients, a certain understanding is formed. The scheme of such a holonic, namely inclusive of one another, structure of human consciousness. In this structure, all parts are intricately interconnected, and indeed, the lower levels of consciousness are essentially part of the higher levels. We can look at this right on the slide. The concept includes niches, which are specific areas of focus, but it also extends beyond what is immediately visible and consciously recognized. This includes broader, often unseen and subconscious boundaries that exist at lower levels. And a human being can indeed be represented as such a complex, intricate holon, which truly includes 4 distinct levels of consciousness. In fact, let's consider from the lower to the higher. The first level is the consciousness of the body. I think many of us know, as we all know quite well, indeed, that our body certainly does have its own consciousness. Every cell, moreover, indeed, every organ system has consciousness. This is the first level on the physical plane. And there is certainly, indeed, also the consciousness of the personality, which is depicted here as a subtle body. This is certainly, indeed, the consciousness of the personality as well. Namely, the set of worldview concepts, beliefs, values, principles, and ideologies that comprise the personality. For example, I am the personality Marina, but my essence is much greater than just Marina, but now I am Marina. And so the consciousness of the personality will indeed be Marina. That is, if I leave the body in the practice of lucid dreaming, I will not stop being Marina, I will still be Marina. This is exactly how my personality consciousness will work. In our understanding, we also have the ability to possess the consciousness of essence and significance, which is represented here as light. The consciousness of essence, known as the consciousness of the soul, and indeed also the 4th level, the higher consciousness. In the terminology of regressionists, this is the higher self, or the consciousness of the absolute, where we are all one and are no longer a separate entity. So indeed, this system of levels of human consciousness, in fact, fully corresponds to this picture, as you can see. This is a system of levels, worlds, divided by their frequency, density, and other unique and distinguishing features. The system of levels of worlds developed by my colleague Andrei Shcherbakov, we send him our cordial greetings to America. He is engaged in out-of-body experiences and has explored these worlds through his practice. The first level is certainly the dense physical one, which corresponds to the physical body. The second level is the so-called astral. The third level corresponds to the world of souls, and the 4th is the energy information level, the level of merging, which corresponds to our higher consciousness. So we have clarified what I mean by consciousness. That is, when I say the word consciousness, I could mean any of these 4 levels, but you will in essence guess from the context what I actually mean in this case. And secondly, the term regarding foresight. What is it? What kind of ability is it? Where does it come from? And how is it connected to our consciousness? It is precisely these important questions that I posed during my research. So, foresight in science is a method by which objects and physical phenomena are characterized and explained in a comprehensive, systematic, detailed, and thoroughly comprehensive manner that currently do not exist in reality, but they may potentially be discovered later or appear in the future, in the realm of possibilities, in the vast expanse of time and space. And foresight and insights emerged gradually from such forms of pre-scientific knowledge as predictions and prophecies. That is, this is the ability to foresee the future, to anticipate ahead, to really understand what is supposed to happen. This is also sometimes called intuition, or perhaps it could be the sixth sense. Intuition is really a kind of look inward. This means that a person, in some manner, somehow or another, receives an internal signal from within. This can happen both while awake and, for example, in borderline states between sleep and wakefulness, as well as in dreams in the form of visions, for instance. And such an ability really does indeed exist. I think we have certainly also encountered it in our lives to some extent. And those individuals in whom it is particularly well developed, we often usually call them referred to as clairvoyants. In our daily lives, and as we know, a person typically has 5 physical channels for perceiving information from the surrounding world. These include sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. These are auditory experiences such as what we hear and our kinesthetic sensations, organs of touch. This is indeed visual, what we perceive through visual images. Taste and smell, these are our 5 senses through which we receive information from the outside about the surrounding world. But in fact, the range of information is very small, so our perception is limited. As for the 6th sense, this channel is commonly referred to as discrete or digital, and the organ for perceiving this information is our brain. In general, the brain is indeed one of the most incredibly powerful organs of perception, and when it comes to questions of foresight, it is precisely the brain that works. Because with our eyes and ears as kinesthetics, we cannot perceive through our standard channels of perception what will happen in the future. This means that in order to be a psychic, we need to train certain abilities of our brain.
Нам с вами надо тренировать некоторые способности нашего мозга.
And during the research, as I mentioned, I conducted in-depth conversations with psychics and also performed some tests of my psychic abilities. We will also do them today. And these tests are specifically aimed at identifying how a person receives information in various ways, bypassing other channels through the brain. And for testing specifically, Zener cards were chosen. You can clearly see them on this slide. They are cards with a colored background and simple shapes depicted on them. I also conducted testing through photographs in envelopes, which involved capturing images and analyzing them in detail, and also testing on thought reading, an image that I generated myself and asked the person to try to perceive and interpret. From afar, at a distance, what I am imagining there. It is most difficult with the thought image. Probably only 1 or 2 people managed to cope with this a little. With photos of medium complexity, Zener cards are the simplest, and it is most likely easier to train and develop oneself with them, such as these. These abilities are specifically designed to train your brain to perceive information more effectively and efficiently. Let's give it a try. I will show you now the Zener cards, which were specifically involved in this experiment. As I indeed said, our cards needs to be done. Prepare a sheet of paper. I will tell you now. Let's join in right now together. We will find out now. A card with a solid color background, we have a few options. Colors such as red, green, yellow, and blue. There are only 4 background options, and on them are simple shapes that you can see on this slide. This is a wave, various different shapes such as a circle, a cross, a square, and a star. And what are we going to do now? I will suggest that you be clairvoyants today. and do roughly the same thing I asked the respondents to do, namely try to guess the Zener card. Now I will take a piece of paper, no one can peek, and I won't peek at what card it is either. And now I will show it to you right here on a white background. You will try to foresee what is on this card, right in front of you right now. The study in the research that was conducted by experts in the field found that it is easiest to focus and clear your mind. If we start to go through colors, shapes, and so on, it only confuses everything. Our task is to, in some way or another, or by any other means, feel what is on this card. I recommend starting with the color. In general, it is often the case that there can be two types of foresight. There can be figurative foresight then. Accordingly, if we foresee figuratively, we can see this color in the form of an association with something. For example, what is blue associated with? It could be water or maybe perhaps the sky. Green, it could be trees or perhaps something like that. This is exactly figurative vision. Such a thing exists. And the second option is direct vision. When you don't need images, you simply just realize it's certainly a more direct channel like claircognizance. What's there? So try starting with a little color. Well, out of 4, which color do you think is here? So, well, you can keep quiet, just remember for yourself what color you think it is, and then think about what shape it is accordingly. Wave, circle, cross, square, or star. For just yourself for now, we won't highlight it for others. And again, either the figure may perhaps come in images, or those who see directly will see this figure directly. It is very contrasting, black against the background. So, well, has everyone thought about it, imagined it? What do you have there? Now I will show the cards. I don't know what it is myself. If anyone had the color yellow, raise your hands. Who had a circle? Exactly. Who had a circle on yellow? I need to practice more.
It is necessary to combine realities.
Good, indeed. In general, if anyone is just interested, we can play with this a little later. Let's indeed try the second option from the testing that I also conducted. The second option is a small photo in an envelope. Complicated. I have numerous options. I don't know which one I took, but it's one of them. A few more. It looks like this.
And here one of our viewers guessed it online.
By the way, I worked online and everything works perfectly online too. There are absolutely no limits for clairvoyance in terms of distance whatsoever, nor the need to physically touch objects or even attempt to interact with them. In principle, everything can be done at any distance. Here is indeed a particular picture, a particular photograph capturing a specific object. I will not hint to you what this object is. And just try to concentrate, cast aside all thoughts. No need to sift through, no need to think. Our task is indeed simply to use intuition. Remember, this is an answer that comes from within. Try to focus your attention somewhere around the photo and feel what might be there. Let's probably spend a minute doing this. Let's just try to focus intently. Cast aside everything unnecessary, everything extraneous. Don't listen to what I'm babbling here, but feel your sensations. Again, vision can in many ways be both figurative and direct. Direct means we will clearly and distinctly see what is there. Figurative means we will have some impressions. That is in a figurative form. Our perception system is activated. That is the previous 5 channels of sensory organs that I mentioned to you in the form of some sensations. That is, we can feel something with our body. Some associations are certainly related to this, what is present here in the envelope. As you know, some feel warmth, cold, dead, alive. It is immediately clear they feel through the body. This is figurative vision. We can actually see some images in front of our inner screen by closing our eyes, or simply mental images, even without closing our eyes. This also works well. We can clearly see metaphorical images that describe and intricately, vividly, and imaginatively illustrate roughly what it could be in our minds. We can indeed hear sounds accompanying this picture. That is again at the level of some associations. All options are acceptable. Some feel taste, that also happens. Sometimes some sense. Something definitely smells over there. Well, so are you really ready now, huh? Everyone imagined roughly what is here. Let me show you. On a blue background, we have a majestic eagle. Who had any similar associations, perhaps? Chicken close, yes, bird good. Well done, you can indeed immediately see the psychics right in our hall, just excellent. And indeed, certainly the third experience, the most difficult. The third is the experience of reading thought forms, such as, that is essentially, we are talking about the fact that in essence, with the power of our consciousness, we actually produce thought images, and these thought images which are created by us can indeed be read and interpreted. That is indeed a form of telepathy. Again, indeed, there is no distance for telepathy. And I suggest you try to telepathically connect with me now, if you are ready, willing, and fully prepared to do so mentally. Wait, I haven't started yet. How are we going to do this? Now I will just be silent for half a minute. I will try to concentrate, not think about anything else, and concentrate to keep it simple. On a single image, I will represent it through all my modalities, namely how it feels kinesthetically, what sounds there may be, and also potentially what sensations the body may have. I have already mentioned kinesthetics. What this image looks like, well, in general, I will keep it in my mind. A simple image so that it is not complicated. You can try to either visually observe some impressions or perhaps maybe we have directly. There are clear seers and you will definitely receive 100% of what I will represent. In general, it will be interesting to see what comes of it. Shall we try? I am silent. That's it. I will focus now. Well, another 30 seconds. Some people experience certain emotional states, and you can sense what emotions I have from touching this object. Okay. What are your options? Like, what was it? I won't say anything for now.
Well, I will probably comment Thailand music. Who else? Please speak from the hall.
But no one tried.
Sunset Sea.
In my opinion, everyone needs to rest and go.
I had a person, just an image of a person, but I couldn't focus on it. Dance. Marina, dance. Great option, certainly. If someone is watching online and has any associations, please write. I will read them out.
Another assumption? No? All right, I will have to reveal the cards of my thought images. So what did I actually imagine? I imagined a red-haired cat that was purring.
This should have happened before.
He was wavy, meaning there were wave patterns on his fur. That is the sunset, it's figurative, right? The color. Who had the sea? There were waves on it. He was purring, and his fur was moving like this, meaning it was also a figurative vision.
We need to gather all these people and put them into a trance, and then they can read.
Dance, yes, the cat and I were moving lightly. We were moving with him, interacting. That is very soft and fluffy. Good.
So it turns out that this reference is good. There were some associations from different modalities, both visual and tactile and others. How to still distinguish them, what it is, and not what should be correct.
To train, the more we train, the better it turns out. But we see that our viewers certainly have a certain degree of imaginative vision, and this can be developed, that is understood. What specific associations do you have? What does it mean for you if we talk about imaginative vision? And the ability to decipher these images assists in helping us understand the real picture of what is happening. I will tell you a secret about how to know what relationships exist between people through imaginative clairvoyance, assumptions. Well, if someone is interested, you can observe this later. You can represent the essences of these people as animals, some animals, and see how they interact with each other. You will understand everything about their relationships. Try it. It's like a variant of figurative vision. Now we will watch a short video together. During the research, while talking to psychics to identify commonalities and understand how they develop their talents, I asked a series of various questions. Specifically, I had 6 main questions. How did clairvoyance emerge? How did they train it? What helped training? What hindered training? Do other people influence these skills? Does the person I interviewed believe that this skill can be developed by anyone? If so, how? Advice on development and whether altered states of consciousness are used. Some clairvoyants said that I do not use an altered state of consciousness, but when I asked them to demonstrate, they were in a trance. So everyone uses an altered state of consciousness, like, as I mentioned, it would take a long time to list everything now, so let's watch a short video with interesting moments. I apologize for the sound right at the very beginning, because when you talk to psychics via video call, there can be a variety of different distortions, but some are recorded better in the audio track, while others are worse. The similarity of the answers is in a way surprising overall. That is, overall, they all basically answered more or less the same. This was interesting to me. That is, overall, the answers boil down to the fact that these abilities are natural for all people, and these abilities can be developed. For this, it is necessary to put your body in order and cleanse it. To cleanse one's personal consciousness, to get rid of everything that weighs down and hinders connection with one's spiritual essence and higher forms of consciousness. But I refer this to the first slide, explaining why I talked to you about levels of consciousness. Essentially, in essence, we become good. Probably antennas for perceiving information when our levels of consciousness are all aligned, and when information easily flows through all these levels. That is, our physical body, being open and clean, serves as a good conductive medium, and our personal consciousness does not hinder us with any beliefs about what we can or cannot do, and so on. Our spiritual consciousness is also in unity with us, and we are all connected to the higher self, that is, to the field of the Absolute, to a certain common energy from which everything is made. Okay, well, let's watch the video, and we'll draw some conclusions.
What helped you further develop your abilities? Yes, to summarize, what hindered it was karma processing, crisis situations, stresses, and some illnesses endured. When you are constantly moving, you adapt during that time, and that too. Regarding what helped, as I mentioned, sports, healthy eating. I also practiced body cleansing, fasting, meditation, and of course, spiritual practice. When you find your people who are close to you in spirit, like-minded individuals, that is, you are not just sitting alone like a hermit and communicating with higher powers, and you don't know, you are either a saint or crazy. When you can finally compare yourself to some conditional reality, and in a way that you can fully, completely, and thoroughly understand and comprehend, sort it all out. That is, other people are, firstly, like-minded individuals, and secondly, some more advanced teachers with whom you can talk, get advice, ask questions, and understand if you really have. There are abilities, and you can either have them, or you are just thinking about it. That happens. Naturally practice.
Nature and water truly helped me a lot in my life. This is in terms of probably good energy, well-being, lightness, and joy. The most important thing probably is just to absolutely keep track of everything essential and ensure nothing is missed. Since I feel people, I feel events, and I am constantly in a state of being In the never-ending cycle of sensations and emotions, which are both uniquely mine and yet not entirely mine, this complex interplay makes me constantly monitor and evaluate myself in every single moment, assessing my state of mind and being. Probably, undoubtedly, this helps me a lot. And plus, if I just leave, a subtle feeling indeed, music helps a lot. Just merge with it, simply attune yourself and not think about anything. You could also say it's meditation, and I have come to realize that the human body knows perfectly how it needs to move in its own unique way to relax and effortlessly unwind. How to dance in such a way so that it feels good. In general, I try to listen to what the body wants. And I don't have any special diets at the present time. Just at certain times, I might perhaps sometimes simply not want to eat. I had a period last year in February when I didn't eat at all for 2 weeks. I only drank water and occasionally, sometimes I had yogurt. But I just didn't want anything else at all. And I truly realized that this is indeed absolutely possible. And plus, during that period, I had especially vivid dreams and experiences, especially extremely vivid and detailed visions in a borderline state, some kind of actually sort of like the expansion of consciousness. I came to the understanding that food really has a strong influence on this perception, and because meat, for example, weighs you down a lot. And I say this from my own experience, not because I absolutely understand indeed why they don't eat meat.
What can you say about your physical activities or exercises? Has your physiology changed in any way? Maybe you do some exercises perhaps for your physical body, or perhaps in general is everything as it was before?
No, all same. But for a while, I also practiced Qigong after I received the information, and I attended interesting, engaging, and rewarding activities and practices. Or I do some simple and beneficial exercises at home, like a series of warm-ups.
Absolutely wonderful. So we come to the question of what hinders. You already said that, as you mentioned, your own beliefs and fears indeed impede. And do you notice anything else that might hinder?
Well, I also said that a person doesn't fully believe inside. They want to believe, but inside there is something that prevents them from doing it. This indeed strongly blocks. Well, sometimes a person lives their whole life in a very logical manner. And they cease feeling, meaning they certainly don't even notice certain things. I also initially worked with stones, meaning I felt their vibrations right away with the energy ball. That is, well, some initial techniques, but I can't say that I engaged in this for a very long time, but I practiced these things to develop some feeling specifically and to shift more attention specifically on what you feel in your hands.
That is, this emotional state greatly influences your abilities, right? And what positive, beneficial, and good state and emotional state helps you manage your abilities and capabilities in your everyday life?
There is some kind of inexplicable revelation. The heart truly and fully opens. I don't know how to explain it completely, but the desire to simply and openly open up to the entire world, the desire to just genuinely help everyone. At that very moment, I can truly and absolutely, without a doubt, do everything. And at that moment, people who are seeking help come to me. I know they'll help them.
I believe that my current spiritual level is in a transitional phase, which signifies a period of change and growth in my personal journey towards a... That's what the psychics I, in fact, communicated with told me. That is, it is more about empathy transitioning to the upper energy center. This is the Ajna chakra, one could say. And this transition was indeed accompanied by heightened sensory perception, that is, an expansion of the range of perception. This is indeed the beginning of truly and completely feeling energy as a tactile sensation, that is, an expansion of tactile perception. This is definitely probably a milestone that I have overcome in this life.
What exactly hinders you in your abilities? We talked about what helps and what hinders.
In development or?
In development, in manifestation, in usage, and in every aspect.
Doubts, probably certain ones, yes indeed, certainly. Perhaps. You always doubt, thinking maybe it seemed to me, or maybe I imagined it all. Probably a lack of like-minded people in my personal life. because my social circle primarily formed when I had atheistic views. Accordingly, there is no support close by from close friends or family members who could collectively strengthen this power, this faith and resilience, hope, courage, and determination, and probably a constant sense of presence. In a metropolis or urban environment, it's probably challenging and perhaps even more so because you inevitably and unavoidably connect to some negative elements. And you can certainly indeed become very truly deeply involved in physical life. In fact, it is possible, some unpleasant physical, a little step away from spirituality.
And do you have any advice or suggestions for those who want to develop their abilities on how they can effectively and efficiently enhance their skills and capabilities? The only advice is to truly believe in yourself and be persistent in achieving some goal of your knowledge. Here is: set a goal to understand yourself, some part of yourself, even if it doesn't work out the first time, even if it's difficult. Just persistently and systematically move towards this goal, and you can definitely uncover your abilities. And everything, we set goals and persistently move towards them. For some, this may be easy, perhaps it comes naturally, but I definitely know that applying effort, such targeted effort, indeed yields results, as it always does. Right now, I tell the girls in the group, please don't rush, focus. Just like you're telling me now, focus, everything will work out, disconnect. I'm giving the girls such an assignment, and this indeed yields results.
Therefore, let's draw a conclusion. For the development of clairvoyant abilities in the future and the foresight of certain events, the exit plays a significant role for us. On the possibility of working at higher levels of consciousness. For those who want to feel their higher levels of consciousness, I invite you to a masterclass after lunch, where we will feel all 4 levels of consciousness that I talked about today. The more levels are involved, the clearer and more precise the additional, comprehensive and detailed information and details we will receive will be. And at the physical level, as I have previously elaborated upon in detail, the specific organ involved in this process is indeed our brain. And indeed, of course, its health plays a significant role, as well as the overall health and purity of our physical body, and also of the mind, the purity of mentality. This is already about the level of personality. It is very important to work through our mental programs, again, those very beliefs regarding our abilities, and when connecting with the level of the soul's consciousness, we open these channels for vision. By doing so, we allow ourselves to access deeper insights and understanding. For essentially reading the information of the field surrounding us, and at the level of the higher self, we connect with this field and become one with it. And there, to be honest, questions as such no longer arise, because there are no questions, and perhaps there are no answers. Everything is everything. And these possibilities are inherent to all people without exception, but in most cases they are not revealed, they are blocked either by mentality or underdeveloped due to untrained and unconditioned brains, the peculiarities of upbringing, and the sociocultural environment in which we grew up. Definitely, if we had grown up in an environment where everyone around us were psychics, we would all be psychics too. But we can catch up, we can develop these abilities within ourselves, rework our beliefs, and reach new levels of development for ourselves. Thank you. This concludes the report.
Let's applaud. Great report.